even more rookies that you should be buying in Dynasty Fantasy Football. We're going to give you 5 guys today, 5 rookies that you should be going and trading for in your Dynasty leagues. Do us a huge favor. First, make sure you like the video and make sure you are also subscribed. We've got Dynasty content coming out all the time. If you play Dynasty Fantasy Football, you're going to want to be here, so make sure you're subscribed. Head over to flockfantasy.com/domain if you would like to receive your very own Team Blueprint. Team Blueprint, what is it? Multi-year plan for your Dynasty team and a good idea of what your build is like now, players to target, players to be selling. Again, it's going to be a comprehensive plan and review of your Dynasty team. You're going to want that. Head over to flockfantasy.com/domain. Use our code domain. You get 30% off. When you do the annual Mother Flocker tier, you get a blueprint, and you also get our rankings, articles, all of our exclusive content. So like I said, links in the description, flockfantasy.com/domain. And today, like I said, we're talking about rookie buy low candidates. We've done a couple of these videos, and yet there are still more rookies that need to be buy load. And that is the correct grammar. The first one is going to be Zach Charbonnet. Zach Charbonnet has been a buy low since the draft. And if you go back and watch our video, our live reaction, I just literally couldn't talk because I was so depressed. But it took some research and some thinking and honestly some therapy to realize that Zach Charbonnet actually is going to be carving out a role in this year's Seattle Seahawks offense. When you look at, he's the RB1 on Keep Trade Cut. Okay, so
RB21?
21. Oh, did I say 1?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be something. RB21 on keep trade cut.
And he's still by.
So we personally, and guys that are ranked above him, that we have him above Joe Mixon, we have him above Miles Sanders, we have him above J.K. Dobbins, and we have him above Dameon Pierce. Between him and Javonte Williams, you can kind of pick your poison. But to us, that means Zach Charbonnet is still very undervalued. I mean, you're talking about a guy with second-round draft capital. When's the last time we saw a running back come in with second-round draft capital in this running back landscape, and we faded him as much as we're fading Zach Charbonnet? Why? Because Kenneth Walker's
last year.
There. Who was that?
Kenneth Walker.
Oh.
I feel like Kenneth Walker wasn't being.
He wasn't
Kenneth
faded
Walker
as
was going
much
in the
as
5th round
Charbonnet.
last year, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I saw him going as late as the 8th.
So
but,
maybe right after.
I'll
the
pull
draft.
actually.
I've seen
keep
Charbonnet
I'm
going
going
as
to
late
pull
as
up his
the 11th.
graph.
Pull up. Anyways, with Zach Charbonnet, the idea behind drafting him, I think, for Seattle was that he's going to get a lot of the passing game reps because Kenneth Walker honestly doesn't have a ton to offer in the passing game, in the pass blocking game, and that's something that Zach Charbonnet can do. And that's what they need. When you look at the Seahawks, they passed the ball a fair amount last year. They have Jackson Smith and Jigba, along with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. They've got plenty of passing weapons. They are going to continue to try to pass the ball. And Kenneth Walker, not the best running back to have in the field to do that. That on its own gives Zach Charbonnet a fair amount of value because he's going to be the PPR back there. When you're playing in PPR leagues, that makes Zach Charbonnet very valuable. Our rankings are PPR rankings. That's why we have him as high as we do. And honestly, I think the community hasn't really wrapped their mind around the idea that Zach Charbonnet is actually going to have a productive role in Seattle and that both Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker could be productive this year. That being said, I mean, Kenneth Walker, he's currently not practicing. He re-injured the same thing he did last year. Who knows? Maybe by this video he'll be practicing again. But it's just something to watch. Like, you're also a Kenneth Walker injury away from Zach Charbonnet being the workhorse there. And Zach Charbonnet has workhorse ability for sure. Of the 17 running backs selected in the second round since 2017, 14 of them have averaged 9 or more points per game in the rookie year. We're projecting the exact same for Zach Charbonnet, 9 or more points per game. He had a 9.3% and 11.2% target share the last 2 seasons, and he had 518 air yards. 113 rushing yards per game, and that's 6.3 yards per carry, and he had a touchdown a game. So, with Zach Charbonnet, they've done it in college. He's got the size. He's got the pass catching. Most importantly, he has the team investment in draft capital. He's being drafted this low. You should absolutely still be buying Zach Charbonnet, especially if he starts the season, because if he starts the season as the workhorse for the Seattle Seahawks, his value will skyrocket once people see what he's capable of in the passing game. All right, the next guy on this list is going to be Will Levis.
Yeah, so Will Levis is, look, you guys know the story with him. He was supposed to be potentially as high as a top 5 draft pick in the NFL draft this year, and honestly, it was the mayo and the coffee and the unpeeled bananas that really hurt his value. The NFL hated him. They saw those videos. They said, no, thank you. We can't have that on our team, and they let him fall to the early second. What actually happened is Houston blocked off Tennessee, and Tennessee was trying to trade up, we would assume, to get Anthony Richardson. And if that had been the case, the Colts would have ended up taking Will Levis at the 104. They literally said it. And that's true.
Remember that? They loved him.
Yeah, you're right. But all that to say,
If Anthony Richardson would have gone, the Colts would have taken Levis.
Will Levis was still worthy of going top 5, which makes me sick to think of at this point that the Colts actually would have taken Will Levis if Anthony Richardson wasn't there. But look, he peaked at QB 18 on Keep Trade Cut. Now he's down to quarterback 30. And he still went in the early second round, where Ryan Tannehill will no longer be in Tennessee after this season. And Ryan Tannehill in the last season or two has not been known to really stay healthy the entire season either. I don't think Will Levis is going to start right off the bat. I think there's a high possibility that he gets thrown into the starting quarterback role at some point this season, and he has rushing upside. So it's not going to take some incredible passing performance for his value to go up in Dynasty because of the rushing upside that he showcased at Kentucky. If you go down in the comments and tell us that Will Levis had negative rushing yards his senior year or whatever, like, you didn't watch film, you didn't see his rushing upside, you have not actually watched him, because he was sacked an insane amount of times, which overcompensated for the amount of rushing yards that he had. So, look, Will Levis, at this point, he's a second-round quarterback. That is not irrelevant. He wasn't a third-round quarterback like Hendon Hooker. We have seen second-round quarterbacks of recent actually succeed. Jalen Hurts being the most notable one recently.
I mean, Desmond Ritter's starting.
Desmond Ritter's starting, and he was a third-round pick. Sam Howell was a fifth-round pick, and he was starting as well. We're not saying those guys are going to be successful. We're not saying Will Levis is going to be successful. At this point, the odds are stacked against him, and he's going to have to prove himself. Do I think he's going to be a long-term successful quarterback? I would put my money against that. But I would put my money on him increasing in value because, like Simon said, Sam Howell and Desmond Ridder honestly being the biggest reason for that. And his draft capital, Will Levis's draft capital, is so much better than that.
Yeah, absolutely. And next we have a wide receiver who got decent draft capital. We're looking at Michael Wilson. Landing in Arizona, he has next to no competition. I mean, you have Marquise Brown and Rondale Moore who can't stay on the field. But when you look, they put third-round draft capital into him. And he wasn't just a bust when it comes to a prospect in college. He got hurt a lot. So, you're kind of approaching the same situation where you have with Rondale Moore. Will he be able to stay on the field? Well, his freshman year, he already flashed immediately. This kid's he's 18 or 19 years old his freshman year, and he had 7 targets a game, 56 yards, and almost half a touchdown per game. Right, so he was able to come in that young and produce. That means he either has the skills or the physical attributes to be successful. When you look at the guys he's going around, right now he's being drafted around players like KJ Osborne, Kenneth Gainwell, Khalil Shakir, Tyler Higbee. I don't know about you, but I think it's worth taking a shot on the third-round rookie wide receiver there, someone who could drastically gain value. And the Cardinals didn't just spend a third-round pick on him for no reason. They know that they're going to be in a rough situation this upcoming year with Kyler Murray possibly not playing at all. So it gives them a great year to develop Michael Wilson and see what he is 2 years from now. I mean, next season in 2024, Michael Wilson could be someone you're really glad you invested in.
Michael Wilson next year could be the wide receiver to a, I don't know, say Marvin Harrison Jr. if they draft him. I mean, because the odds that Hollywood Brown's there long-term, I'm not sure of. I like the fact that he is somebody that has good draft capital and is a multi-year guy that you definitely know you're going to have a shot on again. All right, yeah. Kendre Miller is the next guy on this list. He's gone from the running back 24 and keep trade cut to the running back 30.
Which is crazy considering what happened today.
So today, the news came out as the day of this recording. Alvin Kamara suspended for 3 games. Really not super significant at all. It's a 6th of the season. So, I mean, hats off to Kamara for avoiding suspension. I'm sure there will be a bunch of people really mad about that on Twitter, but it is what it is. And so now you look at Alvin Kamara, he's probably going to have a significant role there for most of the entire season in the Saints offense. And what does this mean for Kendre Miller? Well, I think it's pretty obvious that Kendre Miller is probably going to drop a little bit more. Jamal Williams, I think, is going to have a significant role there. I think they paid him for a reason. I think they're going to continue to give him red zone carries. And so for Kendre Miller, a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, Kendre Miller's not really worth anything right now, so I'm not going to buy him. But you're not buying Kendre Miller for this year. You're buying him for next year because Alvin Kamara's days in New Orleans are numbered. Whether you think so or not, that's absolutely the truth. And when Alvin Kamara leaves, it's not like they just drafted Kendre Miller because they're like, yeah, we might as well just take him. They clearly have a plan for him. He was drafted at the 308 in the NFL draft. They spent that draft capital with intent. Don't overthink that. He is only 21 years old, We forget that. He's only 21 years old. On a national championship team, he led that team in rushing, and he looked really good doing it, honestly. In 2022, he had 224 carries for 1,400 yards and 17 touchdowns. He's not Alvin Kamara, but he had 16 receptions for 116 yards. And again, they don't need him to be Alvin Kamara this year, and they honestly probably don't next year either. My guess is when Kendre Miller comes around to getting a significant amount of carries for the Saints, they're going to have somebody in that passing game role. He's going to be a lot of doing the on-the-ground stuff. But here's the thing. On the ground, he's really, really good as a runner. He was very, very good in college in that aspect of things as well. So with Kendre Miller, he's going to probably start dropping more in your leagues. He's not somebody that's probably going to produce super high this year, barring injury or situation or things like that, or unless he just comes out and just beats Jamal Williams, which I guess is possible. I'm just not betting on that.
Yeah.
But again, this is somebody in the future you will be glad that you went and picked up now, because his value absolutely is going to peak up somewhere high again. I promise you that. And so for that reason, you're going to want to be going and buying Kendre Miller, and you've got the last guy on this list.
Yeah, so Cedric Tillman is going to be our final guy here, and he peaked from a value perspective at wide receiver 64. He was a guy who got a decent amount of buzz before the draft, and some even liked him as a prospect over Jalen Hyatt. They ended up both going, around the same place in the third round of the draft. But now Cedric Tillman has fallen in value quite significantly. He ends up in a landing spot in Cleveland where the wide receiver room is a bit crowded after Amari Cooper. I mean, you've got Elijah Moore, DPJ, David Bell still in the house there, and then Cedric Tillman, who's a new rookie. David Bell last year was a disappointment, honestly. I'm pretty much writing him off this year. I think Cedric Tillman has just as good, honestly, a better chance than David Bell to succeed with Deshaun Watson, who is coming into a season where he's actually going to be prepared and ready to go. I think it's more the value here in the fact that you're just taking a shot at wide receiver 76 now, where if anything, take your shot on a rookie wide receiver like Tillman, like Michael Wilson, where more likely than not, they're probably going to at least maintain their value going into next season, unless they completely just bomb like David Bell did last year. But with Cedric Tillman, I mean, the guys that he's going around are Chase Claypool. I'll take Cedric Tillman in an offense that can actually pass the ball. Zay Jones, it's a good passing offense. He may still have some big playability, but that wide receiver room is incredibly crowded as well. Guys that are just kind of in the twilight of their career, like Odell Beckham at wide receiver 28. I don't think Beckham is really going to amount to much in fantasy this season, and he's 31 years old, coming off of 2 ACL injuries and not really incredible production in 3 or 4 years. So KJ Osborne, they brought in Addison and they have Hawkinson. Osborne is just going to be a hit or miss guy. So Tillman, being the young rookie wide receiver in Dynasty from a value perspective, take your shot with him. I know Simon might disagree, and I kind of want to hear your counterpoint.
No, I don't disagree.
Because there are guys around him. There are some guys, to be fair, around him that I would prefer over Tillman. I would prefer Michael Wilson. I would prefer Tank Dell. I would prefer, honestly, Terrace Marshall. And I would prefer Curtis Samuel as well. But those are more just situational things that we're looking at, where they just have a better opportunity to score more fantasy points this year. But there's plenty of guys in this range that I'm not getting why Tillman has kind of fallen to this point where he's being taken below guys who are in the twilight of their career or really just haven't done much in a long time. I think DPJ has just as much a chance to succeed in the Browns offense this year as Cedric Tillman does.
I mean, I'm just looking. It took Cedric Tillman 4 years to pass 70 yards of receiving in college. I mean, that's why I didn't like him as a prospect. But when you're looking at NFL wide receivers, who is being drafted around in Dynasty, he's worth a shot. He's a new face, and he has the ability to at least maintain his value, where a lot of the guys being drafted around him might even be out of the league in 2 years. And we know, at least with Tillman, that he won't be.
I mean, if it's essentially this: if you're going to make a dart throw, make a calculated one.
Yeah.
And I think Cedric Tillman is exactly that. He's a calculated dart throw. So, again, these 5 guys, these 5 rookies, we've given you a lot of rookie buy lows. And I think some people would maybe argue that that's maybe having rookie fever in Dynasty. However, these guys, genuinely are being the thing with rookies is, they get overhyped, but then and when you get towards the season, they get shorted for absolutely no reason or for terrible reasons. That's what's happened with these guys. So we're going to go buy them because in the future, we believe in their value. Do us a huge favor. You know what to do. Make sure you drop a like on the video and make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Play Dynasty Fantasy Football, you're going to want to be here for the season, so make sure you're subscribed. Head over to flockfantasy.com/domain. If you do the annual Mother Flocker tier, you get one of these team blueprints, which are pretty freaking cool. Give you a good multi-year plan for your Dynasty team and a good view of what you should be doing right now with your Dynasty team. And you get all of our rankings, articles, you get our Discord, you get listener leads, etc. So it's a great value. So make sure, like I said, flockfantasy.com/domain. Make sure you use our code domain. You get 30% off. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.